International recording legend Denny Zager of Zager Easy Play Guitars, and writer of In the Year 2525, the biggest one-hit wonder in world recording history, selling over 20 million records.
Just kind of hanging around on the guitar here this morning. Thought I would answer just a little bit of the mail. I don't remember who this was or where it came in, but the question was I influenced by anybody or anything? Well, I took that question as something that if I was influenced by an entertainer or an artist or whatever. On the private side, yeah, parents and all that stuff. But as far as entertainers, the one guitar player that influenced me the most, probably a lot of you haven't been exposed to because you're too young. But this guy was from Nashville. His name was Chet Atkins, Chet for short for Chester. He was a producer with RCA Victor, which we were with. We did some of our albums with RCA, and in the year 2525 we went through RCA Victor at first. And as far as people really influencing me, I guess it was Chet Atkins. In fact, we lost him, about 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. It was a sad situation for me because I watched him perform. To this day, I see very few guitarists that can do what he did. He was a lot of country, but he could do a lot of other things, fantastic things. He naturally being down south in Nashville, which he was most of the time, he was influenced by the country category. But I saw him do things on the guitar that just were beyond. He'd work with some of the guitars that he always worked with, an Arch, Gretsch guitar, Country Gentleman's, things like that. He had an arch. In other words, it had an arch back here and 2 F-holes. And then it was raised. In other words, it meaning the bridge. And that was great for doing fingerstyle because instead of a flat top, as they call this, it was raised way up high. And so that put it right up here where you could work, and he could reach the strings that way, doing a fingerstyle. The other thing that really influenced me as far as Chet's performances, he walked on stage and nobody else needed to be there. He was that good, and everybody always realized that he was there all by himself, and he didn't need a bass player, he didn't need a lead line or anything. He did it all. In fact, to give you an idea how much I followed him, I did the right hand same way he does, or I do the right hand just the same way he did. And the ring finger was the lead line. He didn't use the little finger much. He did use a thumb pick, which I do not much. But ring finger was the lead line that he played, and then the 2 forefingers are the blending notes, and the thumb naturally was the bass player. He could do full arrangements. Now, I'm always preaching lead line, chord structure, bass, and rhythm. That's a full arrangement. Well, of course, you had phrasing of the melody line. I always go through all those because I can do anything with that style. I can do country with it. I can move into classical with it, blues, whatever. You've got enough fingers to do anything. And if you get into it, the sky's the limit as far as what you can do with a style like that. So many guitarists, they do licks, and I mean, like their fingers are going, and that's really neat. But again, just the licks by themselves, you need a bass player and a drummer and pull the whole thing in. The Chet Atkins style, that I didn't really borrow that name, but I'm using it, the Zager system, because I've learned how to do every kind of music there is because of that style. And I've had trouble through the years. I think everybody has. Anybody that's tried to put a group together is having difficulties with personality clashes and God knows what. And I was no different. The duo Zager and Evans in the year 2525, we got along and we worked well as a team as far as finished products and everything. I came together with Evans. We got together after all of our, both of us, Evans and I, had separate other groups that we worked with, and as I said, there were the personality clashes and everything. And that's probably par for the course in the music business. You're out on the road, you're caught with these people, men or women, and it's a hard road, quite literally. And I remember I got out there, probably in the summertime. I was probably 14, 15 years old. I was making as much money as my dad was. Of course, he didn't make big dollars and cents, but he was honest. He worked hard, raised 5 of us kids. I was one of 5. And so that to me is a feat anyhow, anyway you look at it. But it was probably Chet Atkins that really motivated me. I just sit and listen, and I wanted to get to know the guy better than I did. I got to know him after, when we were recording our albums, and we did. He was a producer over at RCA Victor, and as I mentioned, and just a very country, guy, very friendly, not conceited. He was an amazing person, and I was so impressed with him in more ways than one. He'd always take time to talk to you. I just wish I would have had more chances to meet with him and talk to him on a level where I could get a few questions in. He would have made me such a better guitar player in such a short period of time, just learning some of his tricks. And I was kind of sad, naturally, very sad when he passed. And but I was also influenced by individuals like Presley and the Beatles, especially in their songwriting. I loved what the Beatles did to this very day in pop music and such. Lennon and McCartney are still some of the very best. It's, to me, they're like I always use a Van Gogh painting. Well, it's just a painting, but unique, fantastic. Words like that she used, and individuals like that. So the stuff Presley did, I got started. I didn't train like a lot of people, reading notes and stuff. That it always bored me. I did it all by ear. I just listened and imitated as best I could. And of course, that's been many, many years ago. Started when I was very young. I just kept doing stuff. Back then, we didn't have computers. The only thing I had was the radios and television, and I could listen to these different artists and get into it. But I was into different artists vaguely, but the ones that really affected me are, as I said, Chet Atkins, Presley, female artists of all kinds. I just loved the rock music then, and I look back a lot of times and compare it up to the stuff now, and to me, it of course back then it was different though too. Music was just really getting started with the electronics, the radio and television, stuff like that. In early stages, they, needless to say, didn't have those kind of tools. And so those were probably the main ones. I look back to when 2525 got popular in the year 2525, and it just freaked me out when we were lucky enough to have a write-up in Time magazine. That just by itself was fantastic. And on it, in fact, you can read it on our website, the Beatles would be jealous. Well, to me, I couldn't believe that they actually complimented us that far, and it really was exciting. I never was one to, in early stages when I was 12 years old, I had stars in my eyes, like, I was going to be a star. But the older I got, the more I realized the music business was a tough road, and you had to be really careful. But I remember the other thing too that really freaked me out was not only the Time magazine thing, but if some of you oldsters out there remember Charles Kuralt on Sunday morning. It was, they had the space shot to the moon, and there it was, the rocket taking off. Guess what they used in the year 2512? Evans and myself almost fell on the floor. We really didn't expect that. And again, we were very lucky. We timed that song right. When you stop and think about it, everybody's mind was on the future, and it was an exciting time and timed just right for that song. And I credit that. I don't know about Evans, but I credit that song, the popularity of it, by the timing, which is always true. We always tried to keep up with the artists, country artists, blues, and whatever came out. That's where I got my education, on the road. And I remember going through some of the winters and getting caught way up north in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and some of the Waukegan, Illinois, some of those places that we played. I remember another thing that impressed me. We went to Waukegan, Illinois, and it was a naval base. And we got to the nightclub, which we always, got to, and I was lucky to get there without breaking down or some ungodly thing. The road is a hard place to be. And we were all, I was very young, 18, 19, and my parents didn't want me on the road. I mean, you can imagine most parents, some of these nightclubs. Well, this will give you an idea. We got to the nightclub, and it was, Waukegan, Illinois, a little town, not too far out of Chicago. And we moved in and got our drums set up, and we had the 2 guitars and drums and a bass and something 4 or 5 of us at the time. And we did a lot of vocals and things, harmonies, a lot of Beatle tunes and things. And I remember some of those artists, again, that they wrote songs that I'll always remember. Just the songs, a good song like a good painting, it doesn't get old. And it's still, you can still enjoy it. But let me get to the point that I was making. This, as I said, will give you a good idea of what we were up against. It was a nightclub, and it's kind of the grubby part of town, and we got halfway set up, and we were getting warmed up and tuned up, and the things that every group does to get organized. And the manager comes up and he says, "One thing you people have to remember," he says, he didn't say if, he said, "when the fights start, be sure to keep playing. Don't stop playing, because when you stop playing, then the whole place is going to be a brawl, and nobody wants to be there at that point, because there were guns and all kinds of things that they brought in." So if my parents would have known that, they would have freaked out completely. That's one thing that I didn't bring up to them. But that does give you an idea of the music business. And I got out of it after the record, because I saw a lot of artists that they had their big hit record, and then after that, people I remember would come up to us and say, "Oh, In the Year 2525 was just such a good record. Can you do another one of those?" Well, I might say the producer of The Wizard of Oz, "Can you do 2 or 3 more of those?" We were just so damn lucky to get that one monster, and it was such a monster. It was like Superman way back when, or Star Trek, Captain Kirk. These parts were so huge that nobody really looked at that actor or musician the same to this very day. When they ask me, "Well, I'm an artist. What have you done?" Well, I recorded and put together, In the Year 2525, and they don't understand how rough the business is. It was timing with the moonshot and things like that. It's just a lot of luck. We were just very lucky, and I'm not putting our duo. We were good at what we did, and I was proud of what we did. But I also realized how much the timing was in that situation, and so anyhow, that's basically it. The question was posed, what influenced me in the business as far as artists and such. It happened. It was there. Thanks for the question. I'll answer as many as I can from any and all of you out there. I won't promise. I only had so much time. But thanks for joining me, and I'll be back again. Thanks. Bye for now.